every one of us are familiar with the use of the reaction. So as we go on this course, I'll just quickly share this. Please, at every point in time, you can actually use the reaction button to indicate whether you want me to stop or you have a question. So you have the raise hand feature, which is there. And then you can actually also, so over here over here, you can actually, with this reaction, you can actually indicate if you're okay with what I'm saying or you want to ask a question, or you can also send me thumb knobs, I mean a nod or an applause or love, whichever one. I am okay with it, but just to indicate that we are all with me. And then please, that would just be it. So if you do not know where to get the reaction, you can actually click on these, and it's going to link, give you about all of this reaction, where you can give me a like if probably maybe I wanted to know whether you can see my screen, or and all of that. So you can also give me love or clap and all of that. Then if you wanted to ask a question, this is actually the raise hand feature, which you can use over here. So you can actually raise your hand here. All right, thank you. I think I mixed it up a bit there. Okay, so we can bring down our hands. I don't want your hand to pay you so much, so you can lower your hand, please. Thank you. All right. So once again, welcome to the Modern Workplace track. And then welcome to this cohort 4. I mean, I'm excited for you, and I'm sure that you're going to get value from all of this, that's from this engagement, so to say. And then I'll say that this, if this is your first time of coming into the tech space, or even coming to know about Microsoft 365, I want to tell you that this is a very good step, and then you will not regret it, because there are many opportunities in this field of learning. To be honest, there are a lot of opportunity, career opportunities. No, but no company can get tired of hiring a modern workplace engineer or administrator, because it is actually what runs every organization. The productivity tools of what every organization is using is what you're going to be learning in this place. So I can tell you ahead of time that, I mean, there are lots of job opportunities. So if you're here for the first time, if you're just joining, if you're changing career, um, stay tuned. This is the right place for you to be. All right. So with that, I just want to quickly do a little bit of survey. So if I may ask, um, has anybody heard of Microsoft 365 before now? Please, with thumbs, you can give me a like, or with a raise of hand. Has anybody heard of Microsoft 365 before now? Great. So I just want to know um, the number of people in the class that are new to it. How many of us are new to M365? So I will be calling it M365 or Microsoft 365. How many of us are new to it? All right, great. Okay. Oh, that's great. So I have a class of new beginners, and it is fine, completely fine, because actually the course we're about to take here right now is the foundational course. So you are in the right place. Great. Okay, so we can lower our hands. So the first thing, I guess, in our last discussion, we talked, even in the meeting, I tried as much as possible to break down all of the things we're going to be um, taking in this course. But then today we're going to be starting with describing the cloud concept. And Christiana, you can lower your hand, except you want to have, you still have a question for me. So we're going to be starting with describing what the cloud concept is. And what I'm going to try to help you to do is to break it down to the simplest form that you can actually understand. I know you will say, oh, is the cloud, is it not what they mean is Yahoo? Because when sometimes when people hear cloud, they say, oh, is it not Jimmy and all of that? Then I can help you to break this down into the simplest form. So, being a Microsoft certified trainer, apart from an MVP, I'm actually going to be using the Microsoft curriculum. That's one of the benefits you stand to gain here, because a lot of us that are that are in these cohorts are actually Microsoft certified trainers. So we can also use Microsoft materials to train you. However, I just want to give you ahead of time, that's the important thing for you to be in the class. Those materials are not things that we can share with you, because it's against the ethics of our engagement with Microsoft. So as much as possible, please pay attention. I can't share the slides with you, but then you can watch the recording afterwards. So moving on, let's talk about what our learning part or the agenda will be for us. We're going to be able to describe cloud computing. We're also going to be describing the benefits of using cloud services. And then we will talk about describe the different types of cloud services. And after this course, we're going to have just 10 minutes for an assessment after we finish doing this. Remember what was said before. Once your attendance and the assessment that you will do will form part of what will qualify you for an 100% voucher, and also for a certificate of completion. So pay attention. If you don't understand something, please, you can pen it down, which will take me now to our housekeeping rules. Our housekeeping rule, I've already said this session will be recorded and will be made available for future viewing. And then please mute your mic when you're not talking, so as not to distract me or the rest of the people in the call. Please, as much as possible, I cannot overemphasize it, please mute your mic. Again, pen down your question until the Q&A session. I will have output time for you. Please then follow us on our social media. I know you guys will know it. Maybe for the end of the session I will also paste that. So, and then also you can subscribe to the YouTube channel for you to have all of these recording, because that is where it will be posted. So code of conduct, please. I believe we are all adults, and apart from that we are professional, so I will encourage us to have respectful listening, and then also to keep to time. Please avoid blame, speculation, or inflammatory language. Allow everyone a chance to speak. No one has a foolish question. No question is foolish. Please allow anyone or everyone to speak. Avoid assumption about others, mainly based on their perceived social group. Please, we are all one family. We are all one individual, and we're just trying to make sense of our career. So every one of us should be given a chance, please. And then, as much as possible, please prevent conflict and misunderstanding. The ideas that may be criticized, but not the individual. So you really need to be able to draw a line around that. Listen carefully and actively. And then lastly, let us commit to learning and not debating, please. And then the channels where we have is actually okay for us to post questions, just like in the Teams channel. Ensure you can post question as much as possible if you are not clear about something. So about me, my name is Olajumoke Turiola. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, an MVP for Microsoft 365 app and services in the award category. I'm the City of Hashem Limited. So I'm a co-founder of Textiler, and at the same time, I'm also a leader in the Nigeria M365 community. M365 community. So that's another program that I run by 4 p.m. daily on, every Saturday with very great minds. So I'm fondly called MJ. Please, at any time you can just refer to me as MJ. And then, like I say to people, I like you guys to see me as a sister. So be free to talk to me, be free to ask questions where you feel there is any gray areas. Please ensure that you just call my attention to it. All right, so let's get started. Enough of all the introduction. Um, so let's talk about cloud computing. And in this module, we're going to define cloud computing, describe the shared responsibility model, define cloud models, including public, private, and hybrid, identify appropriate use cases of each cloud model, and define the consumption-based model. And then we can compare cloud pricing model. So when you talk about the cloud, when you talk about cloud computing, it actually includes common IT infrastructure such as your storage, such as databases, networking, or even virtual machines. So cloud computing is actually what expands the traditional IT offerings to include things like Internet of IT, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So definition is the delivery of computing services over the internet. And when I mean, the key word here is that it is the services is delivered over the internet. So if you tell me you do not know anything today about cloud computing, I can tell you you're actually using it without knowing. Now, if you go into your ATM machines, you are actually doing what? Cloud computing. If you're using Yahoo or Gmail today, you are actually doing what? Cloud computing. What we are doing right now is another form of what? Cloud computing, because what are we trying to do? We are delivering services over the internet. So whatever involves you doing the internet, that makes use of the internet, even your chat engine like your WhatsApp, or even your transaction, probably maybe your mobile transaction on your devices, you are actually doing what? You're actually doing cloud computing. Now, but what services are we delivering is what now is the difference. Now, there are different services you can deliver. And when we mean the word computing, we're talking about massive workloads of what? Of networking, of storage, of virtual machines. Compute in this case, we'll be talking about probably maybe heavily used processor, heavily used RAM or memory. You get. So when you talk about computing, your mind will go into what? High level of processors that is in use. So for cloud computing, this is talking about delivering all of these services, computing services. Computing, like I said, is the word of what? Very high, massive performance, like performance resources, or performance intensive resources, like what? Like the processor, like your memory, like storage, networking, computing, and you are delivering this over the internet. So take your mind for an example. For example, the WhatsApp you're using today is actually sitting somewhere on a server that is, imagine the whole world, billions of people subscribing to WhatsApp. So when you talk about computing, then it means that it is actually making use of very massive memory, massive processor, servers, databases that have actually what? That are quite very massive, and then they are delivering that service to everyone over the internet. Definitely, it is very sure that you cannot communicate with anybody without using the internet when it comes to cloud computing. So those are the key things you have to bear in mind. And the reason for this is to enable what? Faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. So because cloud computing uses the internet to deliver this service, You don't have to be constrained by what is referred to as physical infrastructure. What I mean by physical infrastructure is the same traditional data center that we know today. So if you have been working and then probably you've been hearing your administrator or your IT people or technical people, as they are normally called, tell you that, oh, they want to go to their server room, that is actually referred to what, like a data center. So when you talk about cloud computing, it is actually what you are not constrained to that physical infrastructure, which is like your traditional data center. That means if you need to increase at any time those resources you are using on the cloud or on the internet, you can increase it rapidly. You don't have to wait to build a new data center. You can use the cloud to rapidly expand your IT footprint. And then the beauty about cloud computing again is that you typically pay only for the cloud services you consume. So take for instance, if you're using DSTV today, there are different packages which we will look at also in cloud computing. So you only pay for what you use. So if I want to be on compact, that's the only thing I'm paying for. And then also you see even cloud computing in a way for even your the way you pay for your, if you are paying prepaid today for your airtime or for even your NEPA bill, that is what you are only paying for what you use. So and then this actually does what, help you lower your operating costs, which we will look at in a bit, that what is operating cost and what is what's your capital cost. We will look at that. Then you can run more infrastructure more efficiently as your business needs change, so you can actually scale. That's the beauty of cloud computing. So again, to re-emphasize, anytime you hear of cloud computing, the simplest form of definition is to say you're delivering what, a computing services over the internet. The key word here is internet. And then this is actually backed with what, very massive high computing resources to enable what, faster innovation, flexible resources, and economy of scale. So let's talk about the reason, what really brought about cloud computing. So the first thing your mind will go to is that, what are the causes of IT disaster? Now, when I use the word IT, I'm talking about information technology. So now look at these statistics, though it was in 2014, but it is still today. The only thing may be that the percentage has changed. But when you talk about IT disaster, it is actually broken down into these three major categories, and then apart from these others. So what are you talking about? Operational failures, which talk about power failure. So typically look at our environment in Nigeria, or we know the way we all struggle with power. We know the way it is that we have epileptic supply of it. So what happens? Instead of you having your servers on premise, or like I would say in your data center, your physical data center, that can actually lead to a disaster. What I mean here is operational disaster, failure, or downtime. And then you have power failure. This is one of the causes of IT disaster that what cloud computing is what is correct, is addressing. Again, you look at IT hardware failure. Failure can come in any form. If you have too much of downpour today, you can actually have what is called a thunderstorm, and that can fry the motherboard of your system. So I'm trying as much as possible to not use too much of words, that so that we're not, because some of us are new. But if you're not new to things like probably maybe the motherboard of your laptop, because that is or a server, that is like the brain box of your computer. But this can be prone to hardware failure, which can even result from thunderstorm. It can even result from lightning. It can also result from bad power entry into the system. So you can have IT failure. What about network failure? What if up, what happens if the whole network is down? So sometimes when people tell you network is down, they're actually saying internet is not available. So, but then the real sense of what network is down is that you see those things that are like your switches, your routers, those things, they are like actually like the backbone of your data center that allows communication between the servers, between the PCs, that allow communication to work, to transverse on the network very well. Those are things like your switches, your routers, like I said, and then your cables. Those are network. And then if there is any form of failure with it, then it means that you can have an IT disaster. What about software? What happens if your software is corrupted or what phase? So, if it's corrupted or it crashes, these are actually operational failures that can have impact on IT disaster. Now, let's look at natural disaster. We have hurricane, we have flood. So imagine all of those countries, or even here in Nigeria, where you experience flood. I know we don't have hurricane here, but at that particular period in time, because flood, imagine when you have very large flood affecting an area, there is no way that the IT equipment in that area can still be up. So those are natural disaster. Winter storm, fire, outbreak can be natural disaster, and they can impact IT also. What about human caused events like errors? Somebody going to do what? Making a mistake to delete something on the server that is critical, or a boot file, and the server will not come up again. What about malicious outsider, people that has bad intent and come into your that are targeting your hardware infrastructure? What about malicious insider, people in your company or staff that are disgruntled and then they decided to pull down your IT infrastructure? Chemical spill, terrorism, these are all causes of what? IT disaster. And then others are just like those that are not listed here. But the point here is that this is what cloud computing is correcting. A typical traditional environment will be facing one or majority of these IT disaster. But with cloud computing, because you are not in control of the power failure, the truth about it is that power cooling is not your business. So whoever the cloud provider is will be the one taking care of it. The hardware is not your problem once you subscribe to it. If their server fails, it's not your business. All you know is that your services, that is why the emphasis on cloud computing is what? Service. It is not talking about what we help you to deliver the service. So the emphasis is that it is being delivered. Delivery of those services over the internet. It doesn't talk about what is going to make it happen. And we know for all of these things listed here, especially the operational failures, these are things that are actually responsible for the services to be delivered to you. So take example today, during this cash crush, we all know what happened with ATMs not functioning very well. Now, the service you want to consume, just for you to do, which service are you trying to consume? That service of just doing transfer, a simple transaction is in there. And the reason is because whether it was an IT failure that they were going through, whether it is also a failure of what you can see here, natural human cause event for some of the areas that experience people doing what? Vandalizing the ATM machines and all of that. So you can see that these are disaster that could have aided what you were supposed to, a service that's supposed to be readily available for you, but you are not getting it. And typically, a lot of times, this is caused by on-premises environments that you run. So why use the cloud? We use the cloud because of what? Speed. It is faster than the traditional application development that you want to do on premise. You can actually do what? Scale out quickly. You can scale, and you can scale in. We can scale out when you feel that, oh, the resources you are using, you know, the way you change packages with DSTV. If you feel a compact is not enough, you want to change to compact plus and all of that. So the same thing with cloud computing. If you feel that, oh, the resources you are using, you're spinning off is not enough, you want to increase it. And if you feel that, oh, there is not so much demand for it, you will scale back in. So it is actually that flexible. And then economics, in terms of you have lower costs, because all you're doing with cloud is what is referred to your operational costs most times. So that is what you are actually running. So you have lower costs. Now let's talk about defining the cloud. The cloud deployment. So there are two things you want to bear in mind, and I want you to pay I want you to pay attention to this. There is these two things is actually very important, and a lot of times people miss it for one another. You have deployment models and you have service models. Most times when questions are asked to say, give me the list of service models in cloud computing, I have sat in interview sessions and people just continue to say this public cloud. So there are two different things, in this, in the, I mean, in the, there are two different things. And when it comes to the explanation of this concept, you really should know what you are saying. Now, the cloud deployment model identifies the specific type of cloud environment based on things like what your ownership, the scale and access, and as well the cloud nature and purpose. So when you talk about this deployment model, is actually talking is how you define how you want to provision or how you want to manage your cloud resources. So you talk about the different types of cloud offerings that you have here. So, and these choices is actually influenced by a variety of key factors, things like what pricing or cost saving, privacy concern, end users needs, data storage and residence. Where do you want it? Where do you want your data to reside? And most importantly, your business need. But when you talk about the service model, is actually talking about how the services that the cloud is delivering, how you're consuming it, how you're making use of it. What are the service model that you can subscribe to in the cloud? Why this is talking about what type of offering that you can have when it comes to cloud computing. So there are two different meaning to it. So first we look at public cloud, which is off-site infrastructure with third-party management. So when you talk about public cloud, you're talking like things like what? Like Amazon, like Google, like Microsoft Azure. Those are what I mean, third-party cloud services. Sorry, like Microsoft. Let me not say Azure. Azure is a cloud platform. So you are talking about with vendors like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Then when you talk about private cloud is actually what your on-site infrastructure with your own management or off-site private infrastructure with third party. So I want to explain something here. Sometimes people think that even if you run on premise, you cannot have a private cloud. As long as those services are delivered over the internet, you can actually run what is referred to as what private cloud. And cloud computing is actually backed with virtualization technology. So if this is your first time of hearing about virtualization, what I mean by virtualization technology is a technology that relies on the fact that you can have several massive workloads consolidated on one high-end server to deliver it. So let me give an example. So let's assume in my data center today, I have one server for email. I have another server for web services. I have another server for database. I have another server for application development. That's about 4 servers. Now, the impact is going to be that each of these servers will require their power. Each of these servers will also take space, and then they will also do what? They will require cooling. So it means I have to invest in space, I have to invest in hardware, I have to also invest in cooling. But what about me buying one very high-end server? When I talk about very high-end servers that has very high computing resources, that is, they have enough memory, they have enough hard disk, and then they have enough processor, very massive of it. And then I buy that one server, and then pull with the help of virtualization technology, I can actually decide that each of those 4 individual servers that are in silos, I can create what is referred to as virtual machines. So you see the word virtual machines because they are not physical. So I am creating virtual machines that are exactly the same spec as the physical in that big server, and then install them one after the other on their own, and they exist on their own. So if you have that kind of environment, believe me, you are actually doing what? Having your what? Your cloud, your own private cloud. So what this means is that your users can request for resources. So somebody from an IT department, or let me say a sales department, can actually make a request to say we need so number of memory, we need a machine, a server with this memory, with these resources, with this processor. That is cloud. That's cloud computing you're already doing, but it is just what? A private cloud. So you can also decide to, if some of you know May1 or Rack Center or Rack Space, I think that's what they call them. They also host servers for you. They can tell you, don't bother keeping the server on your own premise. Bring it to us. Let us be the one to worry about the cooling. Let us be the one to worry about the networking. Let us be the one to even worry about the power. And so you do not have a physical data center. You do not owe anything, or maybe the only thing you have in your data center is just network switches for people to be able to communicate on the network. But wherever your servers are hosted at places like May1, they are actually referred to as what? Private cloud. So you can decide to have that on your own on-site infrastructure, or you can have it off-site with a private third-party management like May1, MTM, and Rackspace. Those are the 3 at least we have in Nigeria that is offering private cloud. Then when you come to hybrid cloud is a combination of both public and private. What this means is that, let's say you are not comfortable, maybe for compliance sake, you decided that, oh, you do not want to take all your workloads to any public cloud, to a cloud vendor. You can decide to have some on premise, and then you can have some what? In the cloud. So this is what is referred to hybrid cloud, which will come. Then the service model, we talk about SaaS, PaaS, and the IaaS. So this is software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. We will come into that in a bit. Just have it at the back of your mind that software as a service, all you do is to consume it. So give an example. Emails, you are consuming Yahoo email, you are consuming your Gmail, you are consuming just the service on your bank mobile application. Nothing concerns you with how it is built and all of that. It is not your business. You are just consuming the service. Then when it comes to platform as a service, you are building on the infrastructure that has been made available for you. So all of the hardware, the back end, everything has been made for you. All you just come is just build on it, maybe like just spin up a SQL server, a database. The infrastructure as a service is that you're actually migrating to the IT. So things like the networking, the security, you are still going to be taking care of it. We'll look at all of that in a bit. So moving forward, let's talk about what shared responsibility is. Now, for you to move into the cloud, you need to understand your shared responsibility. For you to adopt any kind of cloud service model, listen to the word service model, you need to be able to understand what is referred to as shared responsibility model. So shared responsibility model talks about what you can manage and what the cloud provider can also manage. Now, let me start from your on-premise. And if you look at the legend I've put here, the deep blue stands for you as the customer. The light blue stands for the cloud vendor like Microsoft, because Microsoft is what we're talking about here. And then this half colored means it is both you and Microsoft that is sharing it. Now let's look at a typical on-premise environment, starting from the physical data center. You typically will be managing it. Your physical network, you will be the one to manage it. You are the one that owns it. Nobody owns it with you. Your physical host, when you talk about host, remember what I talk about virtualization. When you're talking about virtualization, this is when the concept of what host comes in. So that particular server, that high-end server I made mention of that you use to build all the other VMs, all the other virtual machine is actually referred to what as what physical host. You are actually the one that is what using it. And then all of this is what they are. They are what you manage, things like what the operating system, you installing operating system, whether it is Windows Server 2019, whether it is standard edition, network controls, you are the one that is going to do your network, your racking, your switches, your router, you are going to be the one. And if you have applications that you want to install on it, e.g., let's say you want to install MySQL, you want to install things like your messaging on it, you're actually going to be the one to take care of it. Identity and directory infrastructure, if you need, because as you go on premise, you will need something to what identify you as a user on premise. Today, if you are in an environment where you put in username and password before you can do anything on the network, is actually what an identity and directory infrastructure that you have set in place to authenticate you, to accept you in. Account and identities, yes, it is on-premise. You are going to be the one that will take care of all of these. You can see the responsibility. Then lastly, the information and data, you will build the one. But when you talk about the infrastructure as a service, which is the infrastructure as a service, you're talking about the physical data center is managed by Microsoft. The physical network is managed by Microsoft. The physical host is managed by Microsoft. But you, as the consumer, will be the one to be responsible for the network system, will be the one to be responsible for network controls, because we also have virtual networks in the cloud apart from physical network. So you'll be responsible for it. You'll be responsible for the application you want to put on the server. You'll be responsible for identity that you want to put on the server, up to where the information and data. But if it is platform as a service, you can see that Microsoft is only going to be responsible from the physical data center to the part of the operating system. Now, for network controls, it is shared between Microsoft and you, the consumer. Application also, it is shared between you and Microsoft. Identities and directory is shared between you and Microsoft. But when it comes to the account or identities or the information that you are bringing, you are the one that is going to manage it. Now, when you talk about software as a service, which is typically like what we are doing today, our Office 365 or your email, it is actually what everything till you get to application is managed by Microsoft. However, the identity and directory infrastructure is managed between you and Microsoft, and we would say, and you know the reason why when we continue in this session, because there is something that is called what? Active Directory, Active Directory domain services, which you have on premise, and then you have Azure AD, Azure Active Directory in the cloud. And then because you have what is called AD Connect to synchronize your identity on premise with Azure AD. So both of you are actually managing it. So identity and directory infrastructure is what is managed by both you and Microsoft. And then accounts, those are your users, your devices. Microsoft is not going to manage your devices. The information and data, Microsoft is also not going to manage it. So you can see that infrastructure as a services, you still manage it. And then when you talk about responsibility, you find that in this case, really, responsibility is always retained by the customer in most of these. When you come to information and data, devices, and account identities, all of these responsibilities is always maintained by you, the customer. So, but when it comes to identity, applications, network, operating system, responsibility varies by the type, because you have it mixed in a way. You can have it that it is purely Microsoft, you can have it that is purely the customer, or you can have it as purely, as mixed. But when it comes to this physical network, physical host, physical network, and this physical data center, responsibility is transferred to what? To the cloud provider. And what I meant here is that I am not in all of these responsibility matrix. At the point of talking about it here, I am not considering the on-premise. So I am considering it against this three service model. So against this three service model, if you look at it, responsibility is always maintained, because if you find out in SaaS, in PaaS, and in IaaS, you have the customer and you manage it, all of this. And then when it comes to identity, you can see that it is a combination of both the Microsoft, the customer, and the shared. That's why you have it around this. But when it comes to physical host, network, physical center, you can see that it is the cloud provider, which is Microsoft in this case, that is actually managing it. I don't know if there's any question at this time before I go on to the deployment models. Any questions so far? So I'm just going to pause for a while, and then any questions so far? Yes. Folaka, do you want to say something? I see you're trying to speak, but your mic is not. Okay. All right. Great. So so if you do not have any question, I have a question for you. So my question is, are we there? So my question is, who can tell me the difference between deployment models and cloud service model? Is there anyone that can tell me that? Like I said, we want to make the class as interactive as possible. Okay, great. Ruth, please go on.
Morning, ma'am. Morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
The type model, type of cloud environment, and the type of cloud offerings. Why the service model tells us how we are consuming the service that the cloud is offering.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Please, can we just show us some reaction? Let's just give us some reaction. Let's just give us some applause, because you actually describe it. It means that I have very attentive students in my class. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth, for that. Yeah, so I think she just gave it. That's the description for it. And then so let's go on and talk about the deployment models once again. So I'm breaking it down now. I've just given you. Now let's talk about the deployment model, which is private cloud. So The private cloud is what you create like environment in your data center. It's like a cloud environment in your data center, which I have spoken about. So typically here, you're going to be responsible for the hardware and services you provide. Again, um, you do not, so private cloud does not provide access to users outside of the organization. So that's the difference. Now, because this is private, you are only providing, excuse me, you're only providing services to people within your organization. You are not giving services to any other person outside your organization. Now, some people will embrace this private cloud because they feel they possess sensitive data and applications, and they will feel more comfortable going with this approach since the data and application are hosted privately. Remember what we talk about the deployment model. The things that will drive it will be cost. The things that will drive it will be privacy. The things that will drive it will be who has the, or I mean, around ownership and all of that. Now, the use case for this is because some organization feels, no, this is private to me. Yes, I want to have my cloud, but I want it to be private. I do not want my I do not want my resources or my data hosted somewhere outside me. So they have what is called what private cloud. So organizations who have implemented their own private clouds uses product offerings. Do you see? They are not. They only use product offerings from vendors like IBM, HP, Microsoft, Dell, but they are not hosting their resources with the cloud platform provider, with the cloud provider, I mean. So, but they are only doing what? Hosting it in their own data center, and that is the keyword. So you have to bear that at the back of your mind. So again, let's talk about public cloud. Now, on public cloud, everything runs on your cloud provider, In this case, you are talking about the hosting provider, which can be Microsoft, and which can be what Google, which can be Amazon, which can also be Citrix. You get. So the resources are hosted on the cloud provider. It means everything runs on a cloud provider hardware. Then you have, I mean, the public cloud, it provides resources and services to what multiple organizations and users. So you see what that is why the concept of what is referred to as what multi-tenancy. So when you look at public cloud, let's bring it down to a layman. If I build a family house and I say this house is only for my family member, even though it has different rooms for each of my children, that is referred to as what? Private cloud. So each of my children in that flat or in that house is actually a tenant in their own specific flat. So I have multiple flats in that house, so they can actually be what? Tenant on their own. So in cloud computing, at any time there is always the concept of what? Tenancy. Tenancy, it means that is my space. Then you have what is referred to as multi-tenancy. That's the concept of it all. So with public cloud, you have what is called multi-tenancy. So away from my owners now, let's look at the other option of I build a house and I rent it out to people. Even though it is my house, when people come into that, all of them have their own what? Their flats. So they tend to share things like what? They tend to share things like water. If I do not have a prepaid meter for each and every one for each flat, they will all have a common meter that they all use. Do you get? They tend to share things like generator. If it is a service apartment, that the generator will be for, so there is no one person that has a generator. So that is an example of what your public cloud can be. So it provides resources and services to multiple organizations and user. And then the concept around this is what is referred to as what? multi-tenancy, which means that I can have one resources, plenty resources that can be used by several people. And then it is accessed through secure network, typically over the internet, we know, but it is accessed through secure network because what the cloud provider we put in place will be things like encryption, will be things like VPN, encryption and all of that, so that you can have safe connection to use the resources. An example are like what your Microsoft Azure. Now, public cloud, Microsoft is an OEM or a vendor. But Azure, you have to hear the difference. Azure is the cloud platform. Amazon is the cloud platform. AWS is for Amazon. You also have and then you have Google that are example of cloud providers. Another thing you need to bear in mind is that this kind of public cloud only targets, can target any type of customer, regardless of whether they're independent consumer, enterprise, or public sector. So it is not limited. Anybody can be in public cloud. Now let's talk about the hybrid. So the hybrid utilizes the scalability and cost competitiveness that public cloud provider offers. So you want to, when you think of retaining sensitive data on premise or and then you want to go or in private cloud, or you want to now say, oh, this particular one I can take it to public. So that's what hybrid is. So just bear it in mind that that is hybrid. So if you look at this diagram, this is what your typical data center will be like, where you have your rack and you have your servers, and this is the cloud. So a combination of this, your typical private cloud and public cloud, is what referred to hybrid cloud. Now let's talk about the cloud modem comparison. Let's just do a bit of comparison. So when you do public cloud, there is no capital expenditure to scale up. So we'll talk about this capital expenditure in a few minutes. Application can quickly be provisioned and deprovisioned. You only pay as you use. If you feel that you have tested and you do not want to continue, you can bring it down and your money will stop reading. Organization pay for what they use, just like I said. Private cloud hardware must be purchased for startup and maintenance. Typically in your environment on premise, you have to buy this. Organizations have complete control over resources and security. Organizations are responsible for hardware maintenance and updates. And then for hybrid cloud, it provides the most flexibility because you can actually combine these two. Organizations determine when to run their applications, and organization can control security, compliance, and legal requirements. So let's talk about this is comparison again. No capital expedition to scale. We've seen that when it comes to public cloud, applications can be quickly provisioned. Just a bit of what I've spoken before. And then private organizations are responsible for hardware and maintenance and all of that. Now let's talk about what we mean by CapEx and OpEx. If you have not heard of this word before, it is typically talking about capital expenditure and operational expenditure. So there are a variety of costs and expenses which companies have to pay in order to continue running their businesses. So to narrow it down to the subject matter that we're talking about, when comparing IT infrastructure models, there are actually two types of expenses to consider. And these costs can actually be one-off or they can be recurring, and it can often be challenging to keep up with all of the expenses when it comes to maybe you want to run on premise or in the cloud. So you need to understand. So capital expenditure are major purchases that a company makes, which are used over the long term. So I give an example. I want to start my business today. The first thing I will look at is that I need a physical site. I need to invest in buying that physical site. I can decide to build. That falls under my what? My CapEx. Now, operating expenditure are actually what you use to run the day-to-day expenses. So an example could be that even though I have gotten a site, but things like NEPA or power that I need to run, they are referred to as what? Operational expenditure. So I do not pay for land every time. I do not pay for that if it is my own building. I do not pay for it. I have bought, I have built, I have put all the furnitures and all of that. Maybe I have painted. Those are capital expenditure. The money I use for that. But things like maybe light supplying into that building are actually what? Operational expenditure, because I pay as I use it. I continue to pay. So for it, so these are the two costs actually what you will encounter in any business. So that's why they said the cloud is a good model for operational expenditure, because mostly you do not buy any hardware. You do not invest in doing a lot of things. So your operational cost is what you are actually what looking at. So a bit of difference with capital and expenditure and operational expenditure is that for capital, you spend on physical infrastructure, you deduct the expense from your tax bill, you have high upfront costs, but the value of the investment reduces over time. So you have depreciation coming into it. Definitely, if I buy a house or a land, or some of them you can have appreciation. Actually, let me not use the word. So let's assume I buy an equipment, a server today at 10,000 naira, but in 3 years times I don't need to, by the time I want to sell that server, it would have depreciated. It would have come down to probably maybe 5. But for a land, it would have appreciated. So you have that, you get. So cost from a CapEx sometimes, I don't want you to limit it to say can reduce over time. Yes, for an IT, it may reduce over time, but for other things, it may appreciate also. The operational expenditure, you can spend on services, on products. So those are the difference. You get billed immediately. You can deduct the expense from your tax bill in the same year. No upfront costs. You only pay as you use. So that is it. That is why the cloud model is actually what it is fashioned to help you to to improve operational expenditure. Now, question again. Can anyone tell me the deployment model that is applicable when you want to, the deployment model that is applicable when you're looking at security and compliance? Can anyone tell me what kind of deployment model will be applicable when you're looking at when your organization is actually concerned about security and compliance? What kind of deployment model? Anyone? Please, since I'm not seeing the chat, I mean the people spin. In case people come in, please help me allow them in. You can just help me bring people in for those, because I might not be able to do that at the same time. Anyone? Can anyone help? Hello? I want to be sure that people can hear me. Okay, great. Hybrid. Yes, I can see Adeyemi Nili. No, now see, it's oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yes, hybrid. So hybrid is that deployment model which will offer you the ability for you to be able to say if your company has a compliance or security requirement to keep some things on premise that are sensitive, and then you want to keep others in the cloud. So thank you, Niniola, for that answer. All right, so let's talk about the consumption-based model. So cloud service provider operates on a what? On a consumption-based model. Now, this consumption-based model brings with it is many benefits, including no upfront costs. No need to purchase and manage costly infrastructure that you may need to run or use to its fullness. So the ability for you to pay for additional resources when they are needed is actually one of the cool things you can have. And then the ability to stop paying for resources that you no longer needed. Okay, I think I have done already in my knowledge check. So let's describe the benefits of the cloud. So one, let's talk about the benefits. So let's talk about high availability. Now, one of the benefits of the cloud is high availability because it focuses on ensuring maximum availability regardless of disruption or events that may occur. Excuse me. So high availability means when you can guarantee service availability. So there are three things actually that make up high availability. So when you say a service is highly available, it means that it supports what is called what? Data availability. That means I can readily get access to the data even if there is any downtime or if there's any disruption. I can also get access to my service. That is, there is service availability at any time. And then lastly, the top component of when you talk of viability is what is referred to what? Automatic failover, which means it can automatically fail over to an available server even if the server in question is down, or to an available data center if it is the data center that is down. So when you talk about cloud, one of the benefits of cloud, it's highly available, which comprises of these three components: service availability, data availability, and automatic failover. Now, Azure is a highly available cloud environment with uptime, and it guarantees, with uptime guarantees. So you need to, I mean, that's one of the things that Microsoft Cloud is one of the leading cloud platform, the Azure, because it has a guarantee uptime of 99.9% uptime. Now let's talk about scalability. Scalability refers to the ability to adjust your resources to meet demand. So it means that if you suddenly experience a peak traffic and your systems are overwhelmed, let's assume a web server. So I spin up a web server today on Azure, and I feel that a lot of it is coming into it. What I mean it is that, you know, let's say Twitter as an example, their web server, when you have a lot of people tweeting on it, that means the traffic that is coming to that server has increased. So the ability for you to expand or to increase it because you have an overwhelming request coming to it is actually the word scalability. So you scale out. Then the ability for you, when there is no more traffic so much coming to you, maybe because an event has happened and then there is no more traffic, you scaling. So scalability, like they said, is the ability that you aren't overpaying for your services. So what it helps you to do is that when at the point where you scale out, where you increase that services, you can actually you are paying more, and when it is no longer so much, the request is not overwhelming, you are paying little. So that's one of the benefits of the cloud, and Azure offers that. Then you have, so there are two types of scalability. You have vertical scaling. So with vertical scaling, if you are developing an app, like I made an example, and you needed more processing power, you can vertically scale up to add more CPUs or RAMs to the virtual machine. Horizontal, the other type of scalability is horizontal scaling. Please pay attention because you find this in your exams. Horizontal scaling, if you suddenly experience a steep jump in demand, your deployed resources could be scaled out either automatically or manually. So you could add additional virtual machines and all of that. So vertical scaling will be that you can actually you can vertically scale up to add more CPUs or RAMs to the virtual machine. But in terms of horizontal scaling, it means that maybe you want to add additional virtual machines. So Vertical scaling will take care of the components that are running your virtual environment. But horizontal scaling will mean that I want to add more type of that VM. So I have this virtual machine, but I feel that the requests that are coming to this virtual machine is overwhelming. So I spin up another virtual machine. That is horizontal scaling. I spin up another virtual machine, and then it can also, so I have what is called a kind of load balance, a kind of load balancing effect, which means that if it is 10 people or 100 people are coming at once to one server, now they can spread it to 50-50. So you get the example. But when it is vertically scaling, it means that the request is coming, but it is only one server I'm having at this time. I can only just increase the resources on it, like my CPU, like my RAM, like like the CPU or RAM specification is the only thing I can increase on it. So these are questions in exams that you need to pay attention to, because they can give you exam questions that says that if you want to scale the CPU or a RAM, what kind of scalability is that in cloud platform? So you will know that that is vertical. However, if you had additional VMs or container, then you're talking about horizontal scaling. Now let's talk about reliability. Reliability is the ability also of a system to recover from failure and continue to function. So this is one of the pillars of the Microsoft Azure Web architected framework, that by virtue of decentralized design, it actually supports a reliable and resilient infrastructure. So at any time a system goes down, it can actually recover from its failure and continue to function on time. So this happen also because it's on a virtualization environment. So you can actually have a clone of that VM or virtual environment in another data center, which there is what is called heartbeat. And then the heartbeat listen to uptime. Oh, server A, are you still up? I'm the one cloning you. Server B is the one cloning server A. So server B is asking server A, are you still on? And you're cloned in case you are not on. And once it sees it, it just pick it up. So that's one of the things. Then you have please, can you mute? Can someone mute? Because you are. Please, when you're not speaking, please do me the favor to mute, please. Like I said, it actually distracts one when one is talking. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. When you talk about another feature is what the predictability of the cloud. So the cloud is predictable. It lets you move forwards with confidence. Then you can have the predictability can be defining, can be whether performance based or cost based. So performance predictability focuses on predicting the resources needed to deliver a positive experience, while cost predictability talks about how much you want to spend. So you also have to bear this at the back of your mind. The security is one of the things that Azure has prided itself, Microsoft Cloud Azure has prided itself, is that it is a very secured platform. Now let's talk about the cloud services type. We talk about deployment model. So I want to break down the cloud services type, and I'm going to be using Pizza as a service. So I want us to look at it. I want to use Pizza as a service to talk about the cloud service. So let's say typically today, you buy everything that you need to make a pizza, say like an homemade pizza. I don't know if some of you know how to make an homemade pizza. You know, if you know how to do that, you buy it, you make it from the scratch. So you do everything yourself, no change so far. Example is an on-premise. So that is where you have what? You buy your cheese, you go to the market, you do the toppings, you do the tomato sauce, the pizza dough. You are the one responsible for the fire, the oven, the electricity, the soda, and the dining table. This is what your typical on-premise. It is actually what made at home, and it is your on-premise, your traditional on-premise. But let's change it. Let's say that you share the kitchen with others. Remember, look at the legend. The deep blue says is what you manage. The green says it was the vendor. In this case, Microsoft manages. Now, you you do what? You have the dining table, the soda, the electricity, the oven, the fire. So all you need to go and do is just go and buy cheese, toppings, tomatoes, and pizza dough. I want to believe that you can go to supermarkets today, just like your small chops, that you already have it prepared. All you just need to come is just put those small chops in maybe your pressure, or what they call it, the word is going now, like your fryer, so to say. You put it in the fryer and that's all. So you've already, but there is an already made dough for you. So of the already made dough of all of the small chops and all of that. So you just buy the pack and you just put it. The only thing you are doing is what? The fire. The same thing with the pizza. The cheese, the toppings, the tomato sauce, the pizza dough, everything has been made for you. So you just go to the store, you buy it. The only thing you are coming to do is just put it in your own fire, put it in the oven, and then you do the dining table and soda. So you see the difference. That is what is referred to as infrastructure as a service. Now, when it comes to platform as a service, it is so in infrastructure as a service, if you see the model of the service is take and bake, which is as good as consuming. Now, when it comes to platform as a service, you have the pizza deliver. So let's assume I order pizza from Domino Pizza. Now, all I need is that I just need my own dining table and soda. Of course, Domino is not going to supply their dining table for me. And then if at all I want a drink, I don't want to buy the drink for Domino Pizza. I have my own drink. I'll buy my drink myself. But that's the only thing I'm taking care of. But Domino will be the one taking care of the cheese, the toppings, the tomato, the pizza, even the fire, the oven, and the kitchen they are going to use. The electric gas, they are going to be the one to do it. So typically, that is what platform as a service is. Then software as a service is when you do not do anything. So I tell my friend, oh, let's go and eat out. Let's go and dine out. We're too lazy. We don't want to do any of these. So we just want go to Domino. Please, we need pizza. We need the medium. We need the drink. So the dining table, everything is supplied by Domino. So this is what software as a service is. I hope you can relate to it. So looking at this, I know this is a version 2. You can take your time later on. Version 2 only contains the container as a service and then the function as a service. But if you find out even the way it is, you still find out that it is pizza as a service. This is version 2. You get. So, and then the cool thing about it is that it's able to mark that your electric gas is actually the hardware. The oven is the virtualization, because everybody now share the same oven. In this case, the fire is the operating system, the pizza is the runtime, the beer is the scaling. I can decide to say, okay, give me more beer. I can, the functions are the frames, and the configuration is the conversation. So, but then I just do the only thing I want you to pay attention to is just like this other one that is added, which is container as a service and function as a service. But this most times is applicable to when you're talking about an AWS environment. So, but the one that will be most applicable to you is this pizza as a service that I want you to pay attention to. So now, understanding pizza as a service, let's break it down more into infrastructure as a service. Let's break it down as more. So infrastructure as a service, build as you go, is a build pay as you go IT infrastructure by renting servers, virtual machines, storage, network, and operating system from a cloud provider. So most basic cloud computing services falls into this category. So you do what you can instantly bring up computing infrastructure, provision it, and manage it over the internet. And in this IaaS, as is normally called infrastructure as a service IaaS model, the cloud provider is responsible for doing what? For maintaining the hardware. They are responsible for maintaining the networking and then network connectivity to the internet, and physical security. So security can be different. There is physical security, and then there is also the security where you do with software. So physical security is what your vendor will be responsible for, and then but you are responsible for everything else, like what the operating system installation, the configuration and maintenance, the network configuration database, and all of that. So applicable scenario where you use infrastructure as a service is a scenario of your lift and shift migration. So let's assume that you just want to upgrade an environment, or you just want to move away from on-premise. You can actually do what? Lift and slam. So you remember, if you have a server now, you can actually do a migration from an on-premise server to Azure straight up. So you lift and shift it to it. Then for testing purpose also, you can actually do what? Do infrastructure as a service for testing purpose. Let's assume I just want to test an environment on time, maybe test a setup. I can quickly bring up an infrastructure as a service to test the configuration for a development that I'm doing in my test environment. So get that in mind. Then you have platform as a service. So platform as a service provides environment for building, for testing, and deploying software applications. So is like a middle ground. So I would say that it is a middle ground between renting space in a data center and paying for a complete and deployed solution. So platform as a service is actually a middle ground between your IaaS and your SaaS. So in platform as a service, the cloud provider maintains the physical network, the physical infrastructure, the physical security and connection to the internet. They also maintain the operating system. You get. So the operating system, the middleware, the deployment tools, the business intelligence services that make up the cloud. The only thing you worry about is just bringing your application to come and run or test on it. So you don't have to worry about the licensing, you don't have to worry about patching or the operating system. But infrastructure as a service, you are going to be the one to patch your system. You are the one that is going to maintain the security of your system and all of that. But here you do not worry about patching, so you only focus on just using your solution. That's what platform as a service is. Therefore, software as a service is the most complete cloud service. So model. So from a product perspective, you do not even need to do anything. You just consume. So with SaaS, you are essentially renting or using a fully developed application. Things like email, financial software, messaging application. Like I told you earlier, if you're today consuming ATM, you are doing ATM machines, you are doing mobile transfer, you're actually doing what? Software as a service. So you're not bothered about anything there, you are just consuming. So the common usage scenario will be your SaaS, Microsoft SaaS services, Microsoft 365, Office 365, and Dynamics 365 that we are looking at. So let's look at the comparison. For infrastructure as a service, it is the most flexible cloud service. You configure and manage the hardware for your application. For PaaS, which is platform as a service, focus on application development, platform management is handled by the cloud provider. For SaaS, you pay as you go pricing model. Users pay for the software they use on a subscription model. Now, finally, let's look at what it means for you to run a cost and ownership when it comes to what a cost and ownership will look like when it comes to each of these models. So for upfront costs, what we talk about, upfront cost is what? Your CapEx. Remember, operational cost is what is referred to what as your OPEX. So for your CapEx, no upfront cost in this place. Users pay only for what they consume. So this supports a lot of the operational costs. For PaaS, no upfront costs. Also, user pay only for what they consume, which is operational cost. But for SaaS, Users have no upfront cost. They only pay a subscription, typically on a monthly or manual basis. So user ownership in infrastructure as a service, the user is responsible for the purchase, installation, configuration, and management of their own software. For PaaS, the user is responsible for development of their own application. However, they're not responsible for managing the server or infrastructure. Then for SaaS, user use the application software. They are not. They just use they just use the application software. They are not responsible for any maintenance. Then for cloud provider ownership, the cloud provider is responsible for in IaaS, the cloud provider is responsible for ensuring that the underlying cloud infrastructure, which is the virtual machines, the storage, networking, is available for the user. In PaaS, the cloud provider is responsible for operating system management, network and service configuration, and then they provide a complete managed platform on which to run the application. Whereas in SaaS, the cloud provider is responsible for the provisioning, the management and maintenance of the application of the software. So, question, which cloud platform do you think supports financial applications to run? Or let me see whose hand is up. If they get the question. Okay, Irene. Yeah, Irene.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah,
Good
good
morning, everyone.
afternoon.
Software
All
as
right.
a service.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. That was the correct answer. You got the answer. That's brilliant because I'm happy that I'm not just speaking. It means that people are listening to me. This is beautiful. All right. So in this module, we've been able to learn about cloud computing. We learn about the benefits of cloud computing. We've learned about cloud service type. And this brings me to the end of the session. But then we have like 10 minutes for us to quickly answer this question. So ensure that I have let me stop sharing my screen. I have a text for every one of us. But before the text, does anybody have any question? Do you have any question you want me to take? Or else I'll quickly give you the test, and then when we come back, you will answer the questions. Anyone with any question, please let me know. Is there any question from any angle? Any question? Any question? Irene, do you want to ask a question, or is your previous hand?
Sorry, I'll put my hand down.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me time you guys. It's like everybody is like MJ has been speaking too much. So everything she has said, we understand. MJ, we understand it. So let's go on. So let's even see this test that you're talking about, because it's like you're trying to scare us with this your test. So great. Let me quickly set the question for how long it's going to take. Time duration is 10 minutes. Start date is 12, no, 11, 11:10. What's my time? Time is 11:30. Sugar. 11:30 a.m. and then end time is no. This is too much. So I'm hoping that every one of us will be able to finish this test real fast. I mean, it's a very small test. It's nothing really. I just want to be sure that all of us are on the same page with MJ. You know, since she has been talking, let me be sure that we're all on the same page. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna paste it on the. Please. I'm going to paste it, and then we will come back for some other. We'll come back from some other brainstorming. How many are we? I'm going to divide us into 3. Like I said, 1 hour is for training, and the other hour is for us to have practical. So we're going to answer some practical questions. We're going to divide ourselves into group, and the group that can answer the most questions will be the group for the week. All right. So to quickly run on the test, I've sent you the link in the chat window, and the time starts now. So it's just very few questions. So if you can see the chat, please let me know. If you can see the URL, please confirm you can see the URL, and then you can start now, please. Remember, all of this forms part of your attendance for this class, and yes, forms your attendance and part of what we're going to use to qualify you for Am I still with people? Please give me a like or a reaction if you have seen this question. I'm not hearing anybody stand again, so it's making me feel like I'm the only one talking.
I can't find the question on the.
It's in the chat window. The link I just sent in the chat window now. Check your chat window. Have you been able to see it? I mean.
My chat window is off. Like it's not clicking.
Yes, Olaide has a hand up. Okay, she's the one speaking. This link. Okay, so let me share my screen again for you to see what I'm talking about. Maybe if I share my screen, you'll be able to. So, sugar. I want to. Okay. So you can see this. If in your teams you are going to look for this, you don't. Are you telling me you don't have this button, this chat?
Don't have it.
Eh?
Some of us don't have it, ma. We are signing as guests.
Oh, sugar. Why are you signing as guest? How many people? Who and who does not have it? Please raise your hand.
Like,
And so you are the only one now.
no.
Adibola.
Truth.
Ah.
Or is it because we're using our phone? Well, I'm using my phone, not a laptop.
It doesn't matter.
I'm
Okay.
using a laptop.
But and if you don't have the chat window, sugar. This is hold on, please. Let me see if there's something I can do. Oh, sugar. So are they? Oh, sugar. This is just hold on. Let me see if I can do something. So I'm sure you will know I say sugar a lot. Very soon, I'm sure you will say, that little man that says sugar a lot, sugar. Okay. Let me see if there's something I can do. Series. Meeting options. Okay. I have to reach out to the tenant admin. I have to reach out to the tenant admin. I can't do this right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you can put down your hands since we cannot see. So I'm going to divide us we'll still do this. So by next week, I'm sure that will be sorted out. So I have how many groups here? I have I don't even have, oh, there's a lot of limitation here I'm seeing. I do not even have the breakout room. Sugar. I'll have to speak to the tenant admin. All right, so let's run through this together. But so I'm going to divide all of us into I'm going to divide us into 4 groups, and those 4 groups are the people. No, this 4 groups going to be enough. I'm going to divide us into 2. So I'll take it that Adetola and Adeyemi Niniola 6. Is this you or your daughter? I want to be sure. So because I'm going to make you 2. So starting from, so I have Adetola and Niniola. Then I have Adoga and Folake. I have Bridget. Bridget. Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. Bridget and Christiana. That's another group. And then I have Irene and Olaide. That's another group. And then I have Ruth. So 308 said he can see it. So how come he's able to see it? Because he told me he can see it. And then Sophie. So I have Sophie and Ruth. So then we have Winner, right? So I have Winner and maybe So 308 together. So I've divided you guys into a pair of 2. And then let's see. So once the question comes, I'll be giving you points. So you have group A, the first point, the first set to raise the hand, because the hand feature will tell me the first set of people to raise the hand, and then the first set of people to raise the hand is what we get that point for the question. So I have group A, I have group B, I have group C. So group A is Adetola and Niniola. Group B is Adoga, Joy, and Folake. Then group C is Bridget and Christiana. Group D is Irene and Olaide. Then Ruth and Sophie are group E, and then Winner and So 308, even though he's on hold, is group F. So I'm going to present the question now, even though I would have loved you guys to do it yourself, but it is what it is, because if you do not get the question right, the next set of person on the chat window to raise their hand, we have the answer. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to share my screen. I'm going to copy the question. Here is the Q&A. Even since you cannot see chat, there's no way. Okay. Okay, so who has the answer to the question? What is, so the question says cloud computing. So the first set of people to raise up their hand, this first set of people in the group to raise up their hand, we have the answer to number 3. What is cloud computing? 1, delivery of computing service over the internet. So Olaide is the first, that is in group. Olaide is in group D. Olaide, what's the answer, please?
A, delivery of computing servicing over the
Okay.
internet.
All right, thank you. That says it. Now you can put your hands down. For fairness, I would want everybody. So yes, put your hands down. No, 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 no. Roots. Okay, drop your hand. Now, number 4. Which cloud model use data center focused on providing cloud service to anyone that wants them, and some data center that focus on a single customer? What's the answer for number 4? Irene. Irene is in group. Okay. Irene and Lady, they are in the same group. What's the answer, Irene?
Sorry, public.
No, that's wrong. Sophie is the next person. Sophie, what's your answer?
Hybrid.
All right then. Yeah, that's the answer, hybrid. Okay, please can we have our hands down? So we have 1 point for group D and then another 1 point for group E. Okay, number 5. Please, your hands down. Sophie, put your hands down. Let's get it. So, Sophie, your hands down. Sophie, yeah.
Sorry.
According to the shared responsibility, which cloud service that places the most responsibility on the customer? Number 5. Roots is the first person. Roots, that is in group E with Sophie again. What's the answer?
Infrastructure.
You said A or B or C? I can't hear you very well.
A.
Okay. So that means group E has 2 points now. That's the infrastructure as a service. That's the correct answer. Please, can you always put down your hand? Number 6. Which cloud model provides the most flexibility? Yes, winner. That's group F.
Hybrid.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
Okay, so scaling involves moving resources such as horizontal.
So that's 1 point for group F. Thank you. Please, can you guys put down your hand? It's telling me that I've said this question. It's not supposed to be showing everything because some of you would know the answer of the next one before I get to it. Yeah, put down your hand, winners, please. Winner, I mean. Maybe what I should have done is put it in a PowerPoint for you. The other. Okay, so number 7. Which type of scaling involves adding or removing resources such as virtual machines or container? Olaide.
Horizontal scaling. B.
Very good. That's 2 points for group D. All right. Okay, so I'm giving everybody a fair chance now because we all say we cannot see that, and I'm giving it so everybody's saying it. Now for question 8, what is characterized as the ability for a system to recover from failure and continue to function? Irene is the first person. What's the answer?
A.
Okay, yes, that's 3 points. Reliability. What's wrong with my group A, group B, and C? It's only D and E and F that is interacting with me here. What's happening? Okay, all right. So number 9 says that which of the term in the following list can be considered benefits of using cloud services? Select all. Put down your hands first. Put the no, I haven't down. No, winner. Yeah, you can do. Okay, so let me first read the question before anybody press. Which of the terms in the following list can be considered benefits of using cloud services? Select all that applies. Now you can raise your hand, please. So winner, what's your answer here?
D, economies of scale.
So that's wrong. It says select all that applies. Root is the next.
Elasticity.
Elasticity.
So just give me numbers whether it is.
Okay. A.
Okay, so I still will move on to Adetola. Adetola, please try. Adetola, are you there? You are muted. You are the next person because it says select all that apply. But okay, but Adetola, Sophie, can you go on?
Hello.
Yes, Adetola, please give me your answer.
Elasticity.
Mm-hmm.
A, D, and C.
Okay, so for that, that's a very tricky question, and then you have 3 points at once. So it means now group A and group D are now 3 points each. So I think you should pay attention to the question. It says select all that applies, and for each of the question, if you see from the beginning, it says it gives you 1 point. So for this particular one is a 3-point answer. I mean 3-point question. So select all the math that's so you have elasticity, sorry, unpredictability, I mean agility and economies of scale. Number 10, which cloud service type is most suited to a lift and shift migration from an on-premise data center to a cloud? Hans, Bridget, yes, please save group C. First time group C wants to say something. Yes, Bridget, tell me your answer. You are not mute. You are muted. I mean, you are still muted. Or you want to? Yes. What's the answer?
The answer is A.
Okay.
IaaS. Infrastructure as a service.
And so it's IaaS. I know it's very
Sorry,
tricky. Don't worry.
IaaS.
You'll be getting. Don't worry. No pressure, my dear. You'll get used to it. IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So you get used to it. Thank you. That's the correct answer. So number 11. Please, your hands down, 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 down. Hands down. What type of cloud service would a finance and expense tracking? This is a giveaway. Typically be in. Olaide.
SaaS.
All right, SaaS is the answer, is the correct answer, giving you 4
C,
points. Yeah, it's giving you 4 points, still making group D leading. Then 12, which of the following requires, no, Adetola, bring your hand down. Which of the following requires the more user management of cloud services? Select the correct option. Now, Ruth. Ruth, what's the answer? A, B, C, or what?
A.
Okay, yes, that's the answer. A, giving you 3 points, giving your group 3 points. Then number 13, which of the following sentences best describe platform as a service? 1, users can create and deploy an application as quickly as possible without having to worry about managing the underlying infrastructure. B, users are responsible for purchasing, installing, configuring, and managing their own operating system, middleware, and application. C, users pay for an annual or monthly subscription. D, users are only responsible for updating the operating system. Your answers. Yes, Bridget.
B.
No, that's wrong. Olaide.
No, it's B.
A.
Olaide, yes.
Thank you.
So the pass can A is, so that's 1 point, making it 5 points. Good. Yeah. So yes, the middleware, the installation from operating system is already done by the provider. Is only at the application. That's why we said the PaaS environment is actually a very good environment for developers or for even software for SQL for people like developers, or because all you just need is just the application you're bringing to put on. Now, finally, put your hands down. Thank you. So we have Group D still on 5 points. Group A 3 points. Group E 3 points, and then F 1 point, and then C 1 point. So last, no, Bridget, put your hand down. I've not read the question. Which of the following is a disadvantage of software as a service? One, users have upfront costs. B, deep technical skills are required to deploy, use, and gain the benefits of software as a service. Users pay for the software they use on a subscription model. There can be a software limitation. So what is the answer? Root. Yes, Root.
D.
You
Can
said?
you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. You said what?
B.
The answer is what?
There can be soft D.
C. Did you say C or D?
There
Can be software limitations in software as a service. Okay, yes. So which of the following is the disadvantage of software as a service? There can be software limitation is the answer, yes. But users pay for the software they use on subscription model, which is cool. Deep technical skill are required to deploy, use, and gain is actually not it's not true because you do not require it. Users have upfront costs. Yes, they have upfront costs, and then they pay on subscription, but there can be software limitations. You might not be able to meet everything you need. So you have one more point in Group E. So the answer is this. So who are the people leading? The people that are leading is Group D, which is Irene and Olaide with 5 points. Then followed by Group E, which is Ruth and Sophie with 4 points. And then we have Group A, Adetola, that was a very, Adetola and Ineola, that was a good one because you guys were just lucky to answer one question, and that one question gave you 3 points. So Group A is 3 points. And then we have Group C and Group F with 1 point each. I don't know what's happening to my Group B. Adoga and Folake, I haven't heard anything from you. But then, so this is cool, but the next question I'm now going to be throwing to you, I'll be doing that on. So you don't rejoice yet, you still have more questions to, but I'll be throwing it to you now on per group, and I expect that I should get the answer. So let me see. So I expect that you speak out and you give me the answer. So I'm going to bring out my slide. I think I'll make use of my slide this time around. So the first question goes to Group A. If a group cannot answer the question, then I will send it to the next group, which is Group B, until I get my required results from any of the group. So, and then that will give, this particular one carries a 5 points each. So this is what you would have done in your test, because they carry 5 points each. So bear that at the back of your mind. What's happening? I'm not seeing the screen. So the question goes to Group A. If Group A cannot answer all, if Group A cannot answer this question, I'll move to Group B. Or anybody that, if I say no, then it will mean that answer, any other group has the opportunity to answer the question. Sophie, yes, you have your hands up. Is there anything you want to let me know?
Oh no, sorry, that's an error.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Group A, which goes to Adetola and Niniola. A client wants to deploy their web application and associated data to the cloud with minimal configuration. Which cloud service type is suitable for this and why? So this is a 5-point question. I expect if you do not know, just tell me to pass and I move to the next. Or anybody that has the answer, I will not move to the next. Anybody that has the answer, that knows the answer, can tell me. Adetola, are you there? Okay, so I have Adetola did not answer, so I'm moving to Folake. Folake is in Group B. Folake has raised her hand, so tell me about it. Hold on, sorry. Oh, sorry, it was a mistake. Oh, sorry, I wanted to. Okay, so tell me about it. What's the answer?
Private cloud.
So why do you say it's private cloud? I want you to be more specific, because actually that's not the answer.
Okay.
But I'm wondering why you said private class, but that's not the answer actually.
Okay. I said private cloud because I actually joined in late, but from where I joined, I started from the cloud. Why I said private cloud is because you said they want the client wants to deploy a web application and with minimal configuration, right? Okay. So that's why I feel that probably private cloud will be the best.
All right, thank you for the attempt. But that's not the answer. But I'll let you know the answer maybe when you finish. So the key thing here, maybe I can give anyone that wants to answer, is the fact that we're talking about service model here. So if you look at this, is service model, and that's one of the trick when you're answering this question. What you've just described, I think I've given a lot of information out. We give other people clue. Oh yeah, let them first answer before I now I now decide. So what's the answer? Ruth has her hand up. Yes, Ruth, what's your answer? Hello, Ruth. Are you using a earpiece? Maybe that's why you have some of those echoes. If you are not using earpiece, then you can actually be able to speak. Ruth is in Group E. This is a 5 point. And if you can answer it, you can. Ruth is in Group E, and Group E right now have 4 points. So Ruth, or if Ruth cannot speak, Sophie, is it Sophie? Okay, no, I cannot call. It's Ruth first, Benolaide. Ruth, can you speak out? I can't hear you.
Okay, Ma, can you hear me now?
Very well, very loud and clear. Yeah.
The service model is PaaS.
Why do you say that?
Because they are building on an infrastructure that has been made available.
Okay, so that answer is right. It is PaaS. That is the answer. So you have 5 points. So the reason is, well done. So the reason is because PaaS allows you to build. You just, and when you know, when I said web application is even a clue for you, because things like I said, developers will use PaaS the most. Database developers will use PaaS the most, because all you're just bringing is you're just bringing your application on top of it, and then you do not require any form of configuration. It's minimal configuration. The middleware, everything has been provided for you. So the next question is this. Hold on, I'm just going to try to copy and wipe out that one. So it's going to appear in the bits because I wouldn't want to. I think now I should bring this here. So the next question. Now the next question is to Group B. They own this question. And then if they do not answer it, then you can make room for someone else to answer it. Anybody that takes their hands up first will get the points. Group B, the question is, what important cloud attributes allow business and organizations to quickly grow their virtual machine infrastructure as their workload? And how is this achieved? So I'm talking about attributes of the cloud that allows businesses and organizations to quickly grow their virtual machines infrastructure as their workload increases or increase, and how is it achieved?
Elasticity.
No, it is not. I think I spoke too much on that. No, your time is up. You already answered, Sophie. Sorry, my dear.
Yes, you did. I'm trying to recollect too.
Olaide, yes.
Scalability.
Correct, scalability. So it allows you to be able to scale out, increase. Remember what I actually did emphasize on that. As it increases, you can scale out, and when you can bring it back in, you get. All right, so Olaide is in what group again? Olaide is in group D. God, these people are the ones taking it. So that's another additional 5 points, which makes it what, 10 points. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is go to group C, which is Bridget and Christiana. Now for Bridget and Christiana, it's a very simple question, and then this is a giveaway question really. What is the main difference between public and private cloud? What is it that is the main difference between them? What is the main difference? This question is for Group C, Bridget. Do you want to try, and Christiana, or should I pass it?
Please read again because my laptop just
Okay. What are the main differences between public and private clouds? What are the main differences between public and private cloud? Yes, I'm listening.
The public clouds utilize shared infrastructure. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Okay.
Yes, I said the public clouds utilize shared infrastructure, while the private utilize like an organization's infrastructure, an owned organization's infrastructure.
Okay. So in terms of ownership, what do you think? I'm helping you because I know you've gotten some part of it, but I want you to move further. In terms of ownership, what does the public and private cloud offer you? All right, I'm going to give you half of the answer of your score because that's the main thing I want you to emphasize on. And if any other person gets it, they'll get half of your score.
It provides better security. The private.
You said? The private does what?
I said the private, it provides better security than the public.
Okay, yeah. So I would say you're close to it. So that's great. But what I was looking for is I'll still give you your 5 points. So that's for group C. Finally, I have them on the radar. That's about 6 points now. So yes, security, but the thing is around full control over everything, including the software. That's what the private clouds, whereas the public cloud is owned by the cloud vendor. So in terms of ownership, that's what I would have wanted you to see for next time. So most is that the private cloud has control over everything. But because you made mention of security, not necessarily, but I need to just give it to you to encourage you. So well done, Bridget. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on now. I have group what's the group again? I have group D. Okay, group D. You've been showing yourself too much. Let's see again now. All right. So a group, a developer wants to deploy the application code to the cloud and need access to the operating system to install custom software, which is the best cloud service. So when you ask a question, be sure to understand what they're trying to say. Which is the best cloud service type to use in this case, and why? Listen again. A developer wants to deploy the application code to the cloud and need access to the operating system to install custom software. Which is the best cloud service type to use in this case, and why? I have Irene and Olaide.
Pass.
Yeah.
Pass.
No. No. So who wants to help there? And that's why who wants to help? Bridget. Yes, Bridget as yes.
Is my hand up?
Yes,
No.
your hand is still. Why are you afraid? Okay, so
okay. No, let me try.
Okay, go ahead.
There's no harm in trying.
Yes.
The best application to apply is the Azure of the PaaS. That's the platform as a service under Azure.
No, that's so that's wrong. They said also PaaS. They said PaaS, and it's wrong. That's PaaS. Yes. So who else want to try again? Who wants to try? Ruth.
Ayaz.
Why do you say Ayaz?
My body is on the tangent.
Eh? Ruth, you said Ayaz, but I need to be sure that you know why you said Ayaz.
Okay, I was saying Ayaz.
Eh?
I was about saying Ayaz, but someone else.
Who said Ayaz? Is it Irene?
I'm sorry, I didn't know that my mic was not muted.
Who is the person? Folake.
Yes, please.
Folake is in which group? Oh, finally, God, thank you. In group B. Oh yeah, Folake, redeem your group because you guys have no point. Why do you say Ayaz?
Because it's the need to access operating. I feel that they are bringing part of the infrastructure. So I feel that is Ayaz.
Okay, I think you already said the word, but you are not just confident again to say it.
Can I say why I think so?
Yes.
Why she may have said so, sorry. If you remember, I think one of the slides, we spoke about the cloud provider being responsible for infrastructure, like storage, virtual machines, and whatnot.
Okay. I think what you guys, I'll give it to you, Folake. Afolake, the fact that you your group has not gotten anything, so I'll give it to you, and then 5 points. So again, so I'll give it to you, the 5 points, and then the key word here that you guys need to be aware of is the fact that they want to have access to the operating system, and it is only in platform as a service. Remember that you do what, that you control the operating system. So if we go back to our what they call it, our service model, which we talked about earlier, you find that you do what, if you look at the shared responsibility matrix, so as a shared responsibility, it's a long way, although I would have used the other one, but I just wanted to. So if you look at our shared responsibility and we talk about operating system, it's only IHAS that allows you to bring what, to have you as the customer manage your operating system. And in this question that we're asked, it is being asked that they want an operating system, they want to have access to the operating system, which means they want to be the one to install the operating system themselves. And then so you have what, infrastructure. So you only but you install your own operating, build as you go, build. So here you say what, the it allows you to do what, by renting servers, virtual machine, storage network, and operating system from a cloud provider. But then you want to have access to your operating system because you are the one controlling it. So the cloud provider is responsible for maintaining the hardware, the network connectivity, and physical security. But you are responsible for everything else, like the operating system installation, the configuration, and maintenance. Oh, sugar. So that's group D. And then I have group E now. So for group E, let's see your question. Let me see if I can get it. Oh, I love this question. I think my talking will pay off now. So give me this. For group E, where I have Ruth and Sophie, what is the difference between OPEX and CAPEX? And give me an example of each. Are you still with me? The question is for Ruth and Sophie. So no, until they did, if they cannot answer it, is when I will make it open for Bridget that has her hand up. So Ruth or Sophie, can any of you answer this?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead.
For OPEX, you are spending on products and services, like you have to pay as you go. So you are being billed. For example, light bill. Then for CAPEX, there's an upfront spending on physical infrastructure. For example, building a website server.
That's great. So you have your 5 points, making a total of 8 points for you guys. All right.
Now, I got it.
Yes, you did. Well done. Now, lastly, for winner, is winner here? Are they here? Winner and so 308. So your question, hold on. Get your question. So to your question, winners, okay. Ask your question. That is to winners and so. Hello, do you have the answer?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. For operational failures, we have power failure and hardware failure.
Yeah.
And for the human, and for the natural disaster, we have earthquake and flood.
Great. Yeah, for human error.
And for human error, we have terrorism.
Okay.
And malicious insider.
Very good.
Okay.
So finally, this is a redemption. 5 points. So 6 points. Thank God. Well done, guys. So you guys did excellently well. And then the people that are topping it. So this is what I'm going to do. Since everybody said they do not have access to the chart, which we will sort out by next week, it means now for the people in each of these group which is leading. So the group that is leading is group D. So that means Irene and Olai, they both have 14 points each. And then for group E, Ruth and Sophie, they both have 9 points each. They are the next. And then I have group B. No, before group B. I have winners. Group F, they have 6 points. And then I have winners and so they have 6 points. And then I have Bridget and Christiana also with 6 points. And then I have Adoga and Afolake with 5 points. And then Adetola and Adeyemi with 3 points. So it means that each of you, those are your scores for your assignment. So at the end of the 1 month, we will do all the cumulative and see who is leading in the class. But this will be different next week because I will ensure that you have the chat window and then you can see all of what is happening. So well done, guys. If at all you have any question, I can take questions. But if you feel you've gotten so much, you are free for the day, then we can meet next week same time. So again, any questions so far from anywhere? Yes, go ahead, Afolake.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, MJ. Like I said, I had issues logging in at the initial stage, but then when I came in, everything was just like Greek. I didn't understand, but I just picked from cloud, just just to follow through. I think by as I speak now, I think I have an understanding of what the class is all about. But I want to ask, can we have access to this recording? Because I noticed that the class is recorded, so that somebody like me can go back and read.
Exactly.
Thank
you
so much.
You have access to it.
You made the class so interesting, and when, like I said, I didn't understand anything, but my mind was like, this is a woman speaking. So if you understood, you can do it. I didn't want to. My mom was like, just off your system, and I said no. There's this somebody speaking. Let me hear her, and if she can do it, then I also can do it. Thank you so much for making the class engaging and interesting. God bless.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Absolutely, you can do it, my dear. You can even do much more than me, which is what I even want. My prayer is that each and every one of you will surpass me in what I'm doing, so that at least you can pass it on to another set. Yeah. Irene, yes, you have your hands up.
Thank you so much. Just to confirm that we're going to be having the class every Saturday by 10 a.m.
Yes, by 10.
Okay.
So our class next week, we will go into the M365 apps. So, and then one of the things also I'll be doing, please, you guys check out on the channel. I know you do not have access to it. This recording will be pasted on the channel. Also, we'll upload it to the channel so that you can watch, and then again to the YouTube also. But one of the things I want you also to pay attention to is this. Let me see. So this is let's say this is your channel. This is our channel. So we'll ensure that this channel, where we have these files, I will be pasting in files. I'll be pasting in instruction, maybe for our next class, the things, guidance in actually for what we need to do, what we need to do, and then probably maybe practical, because we'll be doing some practical. So assignments, this is where I will be putting it for you. So if I give an assignment for this week, it means that next week I will want us to quickly use the 10 minutes to review the assignment and all of that. So please ensure that you pay attention while I do my posting here. So my posting, just ensure cohort 4 come in here. You will see I can start a new conversation. And if you have any question also, do the same, start a new conversation. And as all of us will contribute to it, if you're encountering any issue, just come in here, start a new conversation. But for files relating to our class, I'll be putting it here. Assignments, I'll be putting it here for us. All right, well done, guys. Well, thank you for your patience. I know we've passed time. Yes, Adetola, your hands up again. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to say a very big thank you to you. Like Folake said, it was almost the same thing. But because I usually would tell myself never to give excuses, if you really want to get something done, when there is a will, there is always a way. So I am saying thank you to you for this class. I couldn't grab a whole lot, but I will go back, do more of listening to the recording and all of that. Please, I don't think I am on this channel because I did not get the last message, I think. I just went onto the Instagram page, and that was where I saw that there will be a class at around that was supposed to have started since 10 a.m. Hello.
What's your name? Yes, sorry. What's the name really? Oh, I don't even have access to manage the channel. Bello. Okay. Wait, let me see. I will know your name now. Let me see. A lot of you that says you don't have access. Let me see. What's the name again?
Adetola.
Huh?
Adetola.
Adetola, what is your Gmail? I mean, what's your email address? Sorry. What email address did you give?
The mail address is started with Tola Adebari at TOLA Adebari ADEBA.
Tola, he's not here. So it's Tola, right? If it's Tola, you said it's Tola. I'm not even seeing any Tola here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So what you would do for me is this. Can you I know we have, for all of you that do not have your name here, can you guys go into Discord and create it? Another thing I can do, I want to do it so that we can quickly have that sorted out. How many of you do not have your name on the channel? Like how many? Adetola, give me your email address, please. Call it again.
Tola Adebari 2010.
Tola Ade what?
ADEBA.
ADEBA.
RI.
Alright. Adebari.
Yes. 2010.
2010 at
gmail.com.
Okay. So the problem would have been that these are the things you are going to do. So it's like you are just the advantage is now that you guys are knowing it ahead of time. What's here will do it. So I'm gonna add you now, and then just call it Adetola Adebari. Sorry, this is not it. You're not a user. I'm inviting a guest. Another person who is Adoga Joy. You two don't have. Huh?
Ma'am?
Adoga, you say you don't have. You're not on the channel also.
Yeah.
What's your full name, please? What's your email, Ame?
Okay, my email is Lady J Adoga 5.
Lady J
Adoga.
Adoga 5.
Yes.
At
Gmail.
Okay. As long as you're not Lady MJ, it's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna invite you. So this is what is happening. You're supposed to get the invite from us. So please check and let me know once you get.
Okay.
So Adetola is yours, right? I mean Tola or Adetola is yours. I just want to be sure. For the other lady, Abari. Please check that I'm creating the right thing.
Adetola.
Please just be, although this one doesn't matter. Adebari. So we have so you're going to confirm that you can, because I'm going to add you now to the Teams channel. You're going to confirm that you can see you here now. It's all oh, sure. Okay. Adetola Adebari 2010.
No, Tola Adebari, not that.
Tola Adebari, yes. That's, just let me check that I'm typing the right thing. Oh, Sugar, did you get any invitation?
Am I supposed to check my email?
Yes, you're supposed to check your email.
No, I'm not getting any.
I think I've seen my error. The email address. Adetola, I miss out a. It's not gonna allow me to do this. Oh, Sugar, I don't want to keep everybody on the course so that I don't delay you. You're supposed to. So when we invite you, you're supposed to get a mail. So you're supposed to get a mail and accept it. So is that mail you're supposed to use, and you will see yourself in this Teams channel. But if you do not have access to the Teams channel, there is no way. So I have Lady J Adoga 5 at Gmail. Who else? I have Olaide. Olaide, please, what's your phone?
Olaide Ajayi 25 at yahoo.com.
25 at Yahoo. So you have to check your email. You can check your junk if there is, if you did not get it. Ruth, what's your own, please?
Ruth and Noel.
Yes.
Are you saying I've seen an email inviting me to this channel?
Yes, you would have seen an email inviting you to join a team, in a Techstylers team. Check your junk email.
The one inviting me to join the Techstylers team, but I saw an yes.
Did you accept? Did you?
I saw there was nowhere for me to.
You just click to join. You just click to the link. Once you click on the link, it will verify you. So let me see if I have you here. You said your name is what? Ruth.
Ruth and Noel.
I just did that.
You did not. So your email is not here at all, Abi?
RUTANOL. It's not yet.
Yeah, so you're not here because we have not. And then Olai did the same thing. If you're supposed to check your. So you don't have your instinct also. So we need to ask you guys.
Yes, I saw it on the 24th of March.
It doesn't matter. Check whether you can.
I did join now, and it brought me back to this.
You did join.
Right.
Yes, I just pressed on the link to join.
And then it brought
me. Yeah, it brought me here.
This PR will not agree work now na case.
So if so that we don't keep some others on the call, if you do not have a problem, I would say you can always. Let me just delete this. I think I made a mistake with this account. I just
better.
I want to did it. I did it on
For anyone that does not have a problem, so do not keep them on the call. Let me stop the recording, or is the recording also will just be.
Asking me when did I come to I said it's my brother.